Camila Cabello has returned to pop with XOXO, her fourth solo record and her first under her new label, Interscope. It has also been the target of many comparisons to Charli XCX, from the visuals to the font choices to even the sound of the record. Some believe that Camila was going to lean in a hyperpop direction after her lead single, I Love It, dropped to some pretty mixed reviews, which I actually really did like. XOXO is nothing of the sort. It's definitely Camila's most personal and inventive record to date, but it does not sound like B.O.A.T, guys. It does not sound like B.O.A.T. You guys know the drill. I'm gonna do a very brief recap for those of you out of the loop, and then I'm gonna talk about some general thoughts before doing a track-by-track deep dive. Disclaimer, I recently attended a boat party event and met Camila herself, who was generally an angel, no pun intended. While I want to say it hasn't influenced my review, I will say that it has really contextualized how steep in Miami culture this record is. It's a love letter to a place I actually also grew up into, so all that aside, here's some background. Before XOXO, Camila Cabello got her start as a part of Fifth Harmony, a girl group that was featured on the US version of X Factor back in 2012. Fifth Harmony actually went on to become one of the best-selling girl groups of all time. Cabello had a few collaborations in between with her ex, Shawn Mendes, and one with Machine Gun Kelly that hit the top 5. This eventually spurred her to leave the group at the end of 2016, which led to a little bit of drama. After a very rough debut solo single, Crying in the Club, Camila finally smashed with Havana, a diamond single that hit #1. Never Be the Same, a follow-up, also did pretty well. Her debut record, Camila, hit diamond and debuted at #1. She would collect her second #1 on the Charli XCX co-pen collab with Shawn Mendes, Senorita. That track was included on her second album, Romance, which suffered a bit of sophomore slump and only spawned one other top 20 single. In between albums, Camila Cabello also starred in the critically panned Amazon Prime Video jukebox musical Cinderella. She broke up with her longtime boyfriend Shawn Mendes, and she even attended racial healing classes. It's a very long story, but man, has she lived a life. Cabello's third record, Familia, was pretty much a Latin pop record, and while it was a solid effort, it did fail to dent the charts both singles and albums wise. A clear disappointment, and her last record under Epic Records. She would announce moving to UMG and Interscope by 2022's end, and she would also serve as a judge for a season on The Voice and co-star in the third installment of DreamWorks Trolls series. 2024 marked her long-awaited return to pop with I Love It featuring Playboi Carti. This abrasive yet daring hyper-pop-inspired bop received mixed reception, some calling it out as a failed experiment or a calculated attempt at appealing to the girls and the gays, while others, like Lana Del Rey, loved it. The song would peak at 81 on the Hot 100 and even be performed at Coachella with Lana Del Rey. Cabello would formally announce the album in May and drop He Knows, a collaboration with Lil Nas X. This was a fun house-inspired dance pop single, complete with its own music video. The song did not chart, but Camila did go viral for a purse made out of ice that she brought to the Met Gala where she ate. Say what you will about this era, Camila's aesthetic has been great. Cabello would do one last push and release a final pre-release song, Chanel No. 5, before performing much of the album at Rock at Rio to positive reception. This record currently has a 59 Metacritic score at the time of this recording, marking mixed reviews, though honestly, are the reviewers right? Here are some of my general thoughts on XOXO. I actually disagree with most of the reviews, some of which went out of their way to demonstrate a personal bias against Cabello rather than the artistry. XOXO is a hot mess of a record, I will admit that, with maybe too many interludes and a random, poorly timed Drake track in there. But it is also Cabello's most interesting album to date. I enjoyed Familia and much of her debut, but I was really disappointed by Romance, which felt both derivative and unfocused. XOXO is a far superior pop follow-up, despite occasional misses production-wise. Lyrically, it's probably one of her best records to date. Songs like 20-somethings, Boat, Pretty When I Cry, and June Gloom demonstrate growth. Remove some of the auto-tune layering on 20-somethings in particular, and you have a song that actually resembles folklore more than anything else. This record has a sense of cohesiveness in ideas and vision. This is a clear, messy, dye your hair a crazy color and meltdown during the summer record through and through. It's a record that ties Camila's feelings songs about her home city and that of a broken relationship that she ponders about from time to time. Sonically, it takes a lot of swings and jumps, never quite staying in one place. I have to praise her versatility on this record, but it's ultimately the ballads that I feel I'll always come back to. You can tell that there's a sense of the record feeling a little bit dated before its release. It contains the last ever City Girls feature as the duo have split up. It also contains 2 Drake features in a time where he has never been this unpopular, yet she doesn't seem to care. Other artists would have altered their track listings or delayed or moved, but Cabello's confidence in her vision, no matter how messy it gets, is very gutsy. I've heard some rumblings of a deluxe version on the horizon, which I imagine will contain a few more solid, hopefully more electronic tracks. One big question I think everyone will have about this record is, who is this for? It's very clear that it has hip-hop influences and solid features, but Cabello's never really had a crossover in that genre. It's not a sugary and sweet girls and gays hyperpop record either. This is a dirty, unpolished, kind of niche record with some killer production from El Guincho and Jasper Harris here and there. She has called it her weirdo record, where she's felt free to go ham, and you kind of feel it. I feel like this is more Rosalia than Charlie XCX for sure. It kind of felt like Motomami Side B. Motomami is a superior record, I'll admit. This record's definitely imperfect. It is not an awards play for sure, but it is a statement record and a rowdy reintroduction to an artist who has been around for more than a decade. It's definitely a swing in a time where many artists are playing with their legacies and images, either doubling down or also rebranding. cxoxo is a promising yet uneven start in that regard. My last general thought is how short and breezy the record is. The longest track is 3 minutes, which speaks more to industry trends about streaming than anything. And now here is my track-by-track review of cxoxo. The opener is I Love It, which in the context of the record feels more like a cold open. It's a dive into the chaos of the world that she's trying to build. The verses are non sequitur, the production is sharp yet messy, the lyrics are unserious. I've come to really love that post-chorus where she samples Gucci Mane's Lemonade. Verse 2 captures the vibes of the record best. Kiss me hard, someday you'll miss this. It sets up this doomed romance thread that she's continuing from her previous works. Playboy Cardi's verse never fails to crack me up. The delivery is so out there it feels like an inside joke between him and Camila. For me, the record really starts with Chanel No. 5, another lean towards avant pop. The liberal use of autotune draws comparisons to Charlie, but it goes back to very early Camila balladry in terms of the song. There's a haunting quality to the production, the sparse piano, the vocal chops in the back give it a hip-hop flavor. Verse 2 has some pretty insane writing on it. It's unhinged, she lets loose, invoking violence like Tarantino. The chorus leans hard into this bad girl persona. She knows that she's got this guy, he loves Chanel No. 5, the other girl's an extra, she's the leading lady. Probably the only other real avant pop moment on the record, but it's more effective than I Love It, and I do think that it's more of a highlight. Pink XOXO marks the first interlude of many on the record. It features Pink Pantheress, which is a welcome surprise. This interlude sees both of them touch on her paranoia and her worries about a lover. She worries too much about this guy and how they may have crossed a line before the song blends into He Knows. He Knows featuring Lil Nas X is an explosive pop track, sampling Oh Jeremy's, I know I mispronounced that guys, Give It Up to Me. Camila talks about a man who she knows is coming back right to her. Camila's verses paint a provocateur that gives boys hell. The imagery in the pre-chorus paints this persona in details in terms of outfit before Lil Nas X jumps on. His confidence adds some credibility to the song. When he does the shooting noises, he adds a new hook to that song. The bridge is a cool showcase of Camila's vocal range before they close out the song on the catchy shooting sound. 20-somethings is a standout to me, even if it breaks the flow of the record a bit. The track's production is so vulnerable and analog, akin to Aaron Dessner's work. There's a bit of auto-tune to add a little bit of polish. But Camila sounds great on this track. The verses are solid writing where she paints a confusing relationship between two young 20-somethings. Her flow on the verses kind of evokes SZA's a little bit, but it's still distinctly Camila. This guy's a dick sometimes, but she laughs when he calls her a bitch sometimes. There's like equality in the relationship. It might not work, but she wants to try. She rides the instrumental, realizing that she really does want more from this relationship. The chorus is well done, really painting this image of immature love in New York. Don't know what the fuck I'm doing feels just so real. Definitely one of the better songs on the record. Dade County Dreaming with JT and Young Miami is another smash for me. The production is tight, the bass rumbles, JT's opening gets you hyped up. Camila really does try her hand at rapping. She envisions a Miami night with new ink and nails done to celebrate the breakup. The chorus is a love letter to Miami and its party culture. Young Miami's verse tells the story. She name drops Opalaka. She knows that she's who that guy's dreaming about. JT closes the verse before Camila slows down the track to really paint the loneliness of the night, the melancholy of the bad girl facade. It adds a wistfulness to the track and another dimension to the character that she's portraying. Koshi XOXO is the next interlude. It features BLP Kosher, a rapper from Broward County. Anyone from SoFlo, you know where that is. This interlude's a sweet little thank you from Koshi since Camila's music to help him get through a dog dying and some heartbreak. It's sweet, but definitely a skip for me on future listens. I don't know, it just breaks the flow, and this happens a lot on this record. Like, the flow isn't maintained. Hot Uptown with Drake is a potential smash hit. I've always been neutral on Drake, not quite a fan, but this was kind of a nice surprise. It's nostalgic feeling. It's got this dance hall beat and flow to it that evokes Too Good from Views, but a little bit faster. Camila and Drake trade back verses about this love that didn't quite work out. Did they miss each other? Are they getting back together? The timing could have not been worse, but it's a pretty safe standard summertime banger. It's one of the more conventional tracks on this record, and maybe the next single. It's one of the more mid tracks for me though. Ugly is just a straight-up Drake solo song. Camila mentioned in an interview that she felt rebellious and wanted to hear a Drake track on her record. I think it fits in the world of cxoxo, but it distracts from Camila. It's a skip for me because I came here for Camila Cabello. I did not come here for Drake. I would have rather had another track of hers in its place. Dreamgirls kicks us back to gear with a reggaeton banger. This one's one that I immediately latched onto. It's a summer jam. It's got the same vibes as She Loves Control, which is one of my favorites off her debut. The way that she flows on the track, the way that the bass gets you up off your feet, it's a very sensory track. The lyrics paint a vignette of a night out. It invokes nostalgia for the 2000s. The chorus outright samples The Dreams, Shoddy is the shit. One of his earlier tracks from like 2007, she changes out 23 for 26, likely how old she was when she recorded this. Definitely adding to my summer rotations. 305 Till I Die is one last little interlude that contains a cameo and spoken word by Lana Del Rey. It's just audios of a girl group out at the beach describing their outfits and random snippets of their day throughout Miami. B.O.A.T is tied for my favorite track because it samples Hotel Room Service by Pitbull and somehow makes it into a heartfelt ballad. Camila's writing skills really shine here. You really get the gist of this relationship with someone who clearly had their issues. The chorus is what she wishes she'd hear from her ex. She wishes that he'd admit that she was right and he messed up and he forgot that she was the best of all time. The boat. The second verse admits that she knows that it's ultimately pointless, and the song ends with a haunting reprise of the sample. I like the use of party music in the back and sampling as a way to respect the music, but also to paint a vignette that there is a darker side to it. Pretty When I Cry is another smart single choice. It's got a perfect summer splashy vibe to it. It's accessible, it's playful. Camila's voice really does shine on this one. The chorus is an earworm that gets stuck in your head. The verses contain sad girl energy that still wants to fight. I think the bridge is fun. The drums really load up the track one more time for an explosive but detached chorus. I would have liked a little bit more development on the production on this one, but I do think that its sparseness adds to it. But my current favorite track is the closer, June Gloom, a dark ballad with some of the more wonkier elements of the record. The production is perfectly ornamented with ad-libs and synths, but they never really quite detract from Camila's descriptive writing. On this track, she references Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind with Meet Me in Montauk, as she really relays her feelings on the pre-chorus. Why is he still around if he's moved on? The chorus asks questions. Does she do the things that she did for him? He was the best for her, even if they were not good for each other. Verse 2 has her admit that she still has feelings, but the bridge admits that they've always been a problem and she can't quit him. Before that instrumental takes us out. The closing instrumental is magical because the absence of her voice speaks to how it's not quite over yet. I think that this is one of her career best songs. It's layered, it's emotional, it's probably how the rest of the record should have sounded like. I would love to hear some deluxe tracks that sound like this. I actually did like cxoxo quite a bit. While there were interludes I wish were either cut or fleshed out all the way, and I felt like some of it was a little underbaked, whether it was from the lyric or the production standpoint. I personally at this time would give it a solid 8 out of 10. I genuinely think that Camila has pushed herself and made a solid body of work on par with some of her earlier stuff. I do think that she and her team need to push a track out and get some of the momentum back. I remember someone mentioned that there was a cut Selena Gomez collab since they're label mates. I feel like Droplet era Selena, like circa 2017, and this version of Camila would smash together. For a rebrand though, I do feel like it's not a complete failure. I think it's more of a mixed bag. And that's a wrap. Thank you so much for tuning in to my review for cxoxo. I want to thank my members. Thank you so much for supporting my channel. I want to thank all of my subscribers. You know, I make my videos for you guys, and you know, like, I've been more regular recently. I'm actually really proud of myself for posting weekly. Let me know in the comments what your favorite tracks were. Feel free to comment below how you feel about the era. I love interacting with you guys, and I will see you very soon for the next video.